All right, so I'm super excited today to go over all of the anatomy and the things that you need to know about your pelvis and your pelvic floor as far as anatomy goes, because you're going to get into also the physiology or how the bladder works, and hopefully you are now able to see how important it is to understand what it's supposed to look like, how it's supposed to function, and why. So this is your pelvis, and your pelvis is your hip bones. On your hip bones, you also have your sits bones. If you sit back here, you can see here the sits bones. These are the bony portions right in your butt that you're sitting on. You can see in the front, you have your pubic bone with your pubic disc. This disc has to spread and stretch during pregnancy. You can see also, hopefully, that that's one of the main places that is moving when you're running or walking at all. And then here you can see the relation to the low back, the sacrum, and then also the tailbone. You can see the SI joint, which is where the sacrum meets the iliac crest. So that's the sacroiliac joint. I treat a lot of runners with a lot of pain and discomfort there, kind of where those dimples are in the back of your hip. So it's not necessarily back pain, it's a little bit out to the side from it. And then tailbone or coccyx pain. So if you've ever broken your tailbone, you probably note a lot of the dysfunctions or problems that you have from that. So my bladder and my rectum are not sitting in here properly, but hopefully you can see the visual of how close your rectum and your bladder sit together. So the importance of that is if you have a problem with bowel movements, you're typically going to have a problem with your bladder as well, or vice versa. So if you have frequency of urination, meaning you're going a lot of the time you're also going to have frequency of bowel movements or some sort of diarrhea. Or vice versa, if you have constipation throughout the rectum and you're dealing with a lot of problems going to the bathroom, anything like that, you're typically going to have either frequency of urination, so you're going to go more because the rectum is kind of swollen and pushing in on the bladder, or you're going to be retention, meaning you're not able to get all of the urine out at the same time. The reason I show you that is it is so important for you to understand that one goes with the other. So I can't sit here and tell you that I only treat bladder health. I have to treat it all. It's super important that we do treat it all. So your bladder actually has two functions. It only fills up with urine, and then it also releases the urine. Your bladder has little cilia on the inside, which are like hair-like projections that tell the brain and send signals to the brain and say, hey, this was an irritant or this was pure water, and I either feel like I have to pee or I don't feel like I have to pee. And the bladder functions that way. So that's why you're going to get into a little bit of information in the next module about what things irritate the bladder and what might be irritating the bladder during running. So keep that in mind. So if we remove the rectum and the bladder, you can see on the inside that a female pelvis, again, I don't have a male pelvis, but a female pelvis is solely supported by the pelvic floor muscles. Unlike men, we don't have external genitalia, so we automatically turn our muscles on when we're standing because we think that something's going to fall out. And if we don't have a good support system or the bowl of our body or the bottom portion of our core, you potentially could have things fall out. So we have to be really cautious about taking care of our pelvic floor. You can see also that there is the external layer. We have the rectum here. We have what's called the perineal body. This is the part that when you're giving birth, a lot of times will tear right on the posterior aspect of this vagina. And then you have your vagina, and you've got your labia, you've got your clitoris up here, the clitoral hood, which is what covers the clitoris. And then you can see the muscles, and hopefully you can understand the importance of those muscles and why when you do go to a pelvic floor physical therapist, we typically will need to do an internal assessment because we need to feel what's going on with these muscles. Are they tense or are they relaxing? If the muscles are too tense, they may be holding urine in. If they are too tense, they may not be able to relax. If they're not tense enough or they're not able to contract, then that might be why urine is falling out as well or coming out and contributing to the leakage. You also have a deep layer of your pelvic floor. That one's more responsible for holding everything up and in, so keeping the organs where it needs to be. Our pelvic floor is our support system as a female. We have to make sure that we take care of this in order to have a healthy, functioning body. But please don't forget that this is not it. We also have our core and we also have our diaphragm that we need to focus on in order to have that full functioning core, in order to have that full functioning pelvic floor, so that running does not contribute to leakage and problems. So hopefully that gives you a really great visual. If you have specific questions or if you have more questions, please let me know. Reach out to me and ask me. I would love to answer those for you. But now I'm super excited to see you in the next video.